Hello, John.
Hello, Alan.
So today we're going to talk about Glen Beach Cliff Walk. It's a place I go every now and again. I go there usually around between September to December because I like to look at the seals, and you'll see baby seals born all the time. When a baby seal is born, he really sticks out on the beach because he's small and he's white. When they're born, they're white and they go brown over a couple of weeks or months. But it's Glen Beach Cliff Walk anyway is on the outskirts of Wicklow town. It's a fantastic walk. Have you been there yourself?
I would have been there in years back. I would have been, and in Wicklow I used to go up. And there was a walk there, and part of it, up you went up the mountain, and there was a place you could have picnics, and there was a lake around there, and you could walk around it, and it was a very peaceful place, funny enough.
Hmm.
Up and where there was a lake and that. I always like to see that type of thing. You have a focal point going around, but Wicklow itself, there's because of the hills and that and the walks, that's a great advantage, isn't it?
It is, and the thing is, we met four very beautiful American ladies, and they were wearing fur coats that I recognize the fur coats, the style of the coats from the 1980s. So I would imagine that the coats they were wearing were belonged to their mothers from the 1980s or their aunts or something, because they were really like strong American accents, and they were saying to me like, is there anything to do around here? So, so I said, well, there is actually. We can start off maybe and take a few photographs of you, okay, if you want, So they gave me their phone, and I took a few photographs of them. And it turned out that they were only here for the weekend. They were based in London. They flew over to London. They were going to be going to Spain, and they were on here for 2 days. So I said to them, "Listen, the best place for you to go actually is up to Johnny Fox's, up the mountains, the highest pub in Ireland." And she says, "What do you mean the highest? What does that mean?" Okay, and she says, "Are you talking about altitude?" So I said, "Yes, altitude. I'm not talking about the highest, as in like it's a multi-story skyscraper up the mountains. No, nothing like
We
that."
used to, yeah.
you know. But anyway, they were very nice, and they went on their way anyway. But the thing about Glen Beach Cliff Walk is that you really do need good footwear, and this is where people, you see people on the walk all the time. They're wearing white shoes. You see people wearing
Not
white rubber,
suitable.
not suitable because it's this time of year particularly. It's very very mucky down there, and the walk
Yeah, yeah,
itself.
you'd want Wellingtons.
You'd want some kind of hiking boots, definitely,
Yeah,
but
exactly, hiking boots. We used to wear Wellingtons one time when we were walking, when the weather was, shall we say, inclement. In
mhm.
other words, raining cats and dogs. And
Yeah,
we used to wear Wellingtons. Now I got used to them, but I wouldn't fancy wearing them. I think you can get the right boots. I have some walking boots outside in the shed, but I'm not doing as much walking as I used to. But I'm doing some walking now.
very good. Walking is excellent, and
So at the cliff walk there, go ahead. They were yapping about seals there a minute ago.
we'll come back to
Oh,
the seals in a minute. But the thing is, there was lovely footage there at the beginning of the video about the seals, but the actual walk itself, okay, it loops around to Wicklow Head Lighthouse. Now the lighthouse has been restored by, I think it's Heritage Ireland or some crowd like that. But they've done a great job. You can actually hire out the lighthouse. It's 5 stories high, and the kitchen's at the very top, for anybody who's interested. Um, but the actual walk itself is 3.7 kilometers, so it loops around, and it takes in Tubber Bride, which is a holy well. And there's the
lovely.
there's the ruins of a small church from penal times also. So it has some nice stuff. And apparently the fishermen used to drink out of the holy well, Tubber Bride, to bring them, some luck when they'd be going out to fish,
Well, you see, holy wells often had a purpose for this, that, or the other, and sometimes people were healed at these holy wells. And so, even though this is a remote place, if there's a ruins of a church there, there must have been a population kind of around, which there was. We had a big population here years back, and of course, then with the famine and one thing and another, it declined and emigration. But the fact that there's a ruins of church there and a holy well indicates that there would have been people not too far away that would be practicing their Catholic faith. These would have been Catholic faiths. These are the ones that was destroyed. And the funny thing in Dublin, the two that wasn't destroyed were Catholic cathedrals, which is Christ Church and St. Patrick's. They were Catholic churches before they were taken over by the Protestants, and by rights they should be given back to the Catholic Church. That's why in Dublin we only have a pro cathedral, because they're two cathedrals that belong to the Catholics.
You're a fountain of knowledge, John Malone.
Yeah.
I think, like,
yeah, go ahead.
The thing about the seals anyway is that people do give the seals a lot of respect. You have to keep your distance from the seals, where they take over parts of the beach, and there's just a rope going across just to let you know with a sign that do not disturb them while they're.
Well, you can't go near there. And funny enough, in Kilcool there was a rope. There was these birds that come from overseas. I knew them now, and I just can't think of them. But they used to make their nests there on Kilcool Beach, and that was restricted as well because these birds are making their nests. And then there was birds. Now I don't know if it's in the cliff walker. Probably this time of the year wouldn't see it, but birds used to build their nests up high, and when the little chicks got big and that, they used to try and bring them out to show us they could fly, and they had to fly because they coming from a height, so they had to try and do the thing. And the parents, the mother and father, would be, which in the board language, would be helping the birds and maybe rescuing them if they weren't doing the thing right. So they kept an eye on them, and some of the little birds often didn't get going or they went into the sea, and then they were able to sort of revive. But that was a feature in you don't see it. You might see it in those walks if the sea is nearby. And by the way, the seals. Now I used to see them in Ireland's Eye when I was young, and I didn't take to them myself. I used to like Ireland's Eye. There was what they call fern bushes, and there were rabbits there, and that kind of thing. And because I used to, when I was young, I used to help motorboats there that would get passengers. And I was a young fella, and my brother, we used to go to the bus and get them when they're coming out to hold. The buses would be full to say, "Would you like to go to Ireland's Eye?" And so we bring them down, so the boat would be full, the motorboat. And some of them would get a punt and take the girlfriend out in a rowboat, and you had to show them how to row because they wouldn't be used to rowing. I was used to rowing. I could row with my eyes closed. And so I'm just mentioning about seals. I didn't take them when I was young, to be honest with you. I used to like the birds. Now, one thing that you get at the seaside, I don't know if you encountered it in Wicklow. And by the way, there's a great cliff walk in Hoth, and you can see the bay, and it's a marvelous vista. Well worth a go. And one thing that I used to know in Ireland, so the seagulls used to build their nests there. There's an
Okay.
awful lot of seagulls nest there.
Well, Glen Beach Cliff Walk
That's another thing.
is a protected area. There's many different species of birds, but as I say, it's
Yeah.
protected by the
I can't hear you, Oliver. Speak up there. Your voice is very low.
I said, can you hear me now? Yeah, you okay? 1 2 1 2.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, it's not as
It's not
loud
as
as it
clear.
normally, but you know.
Hang on. Can you hear me now? Am I okay?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll have to look at that. But the thing is, anyway, yeah. So
I can
the
hear you.
Glen Beach Cliff Walk is an excellent place. It's absolutely beautiful in the summertime. Wicklow, as I said, sorry, in this time of year, you really need hiking boots. You shouldn't go in a pair of runners. It's actually quite dangerous because you're walking at the cliff edge, and it's not suitable for young children. So if any child under the age of 10, there was one man there I seen, and he had an idea that he was going to carry his bicycle and his 3-year-old child to see the seals, and I said to him, it's nearly 2 kilometers long to get down just to the seals alone, and you're walking on the cliff edge. You'll never do it. Okay, so he gave up on the idea. Thanks be to God. But
Yeah,
there
that
we
was irresponsible, right enough. You can't do things like that. You've got to have some common sense when you're in a place. But there's lovely walks. As I mentioned in Hoth, there's a cliff walk there, and it's a making good distance. You were talking about the one that you were on was down near 4 kilometers, in other words, nearly 2 mile.
Mm-hmm.
And then I presume when you go on the walk, do you have to return, or do you go around
Well,
and come back to?
you can actually go right around the loop. Okay, I've done the loop once, but generally what I do is this time of year, all I do is I go to see the seals, and I don't do the loop. The loop is quite long, you know. So, like you can see, the thing
Right.
about it, what you got to remember is that when you're doing the walk, and this is very valid in the wintertime, by the time you get down to the seals, it's going to take you a half hour to do it comfortably. Okay, you then have a half hour to get back. So you can't be starting the walk at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You know, you want to be starting it at about 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock thereabouts. You know,
Two
uh,
o'clock, yeah. So it's bright,
otherwise you're
and
walking
then
in
the
darkness.
weather wants to be dry. If it's raining or drizzle, you have to have the proper gear, don't you? And then you can't see much. Whereas if there's a bit of sun, you have a better view of the surrounding hills and that. As a matter of fact, in Wicklow, when Bertie Ahern was Taoiseach, he was going to build an interpretive centre up in Lugnaquilla, which is the highest mountain in Wicklow, next to Carrauntoohil and Cork. It's the next highest mountain. And and these environmentalists and these kind of nutcases didn't want it. Now, he'd already ignored them and go ahead because most people would. An interpret centre, there's one in Glendalough, and it's a very useful place to visit. You get the history and all the rest of it. Aside from going around the ruins and seeing the great monastic settlement that was there, St. Kevin found it, and the cell is there somewhere too. So it's a marvelous place to visit, Glendalough. But there's an interpretive centre there, so that you can find out a lot of stuff that you wouldn't find out if it wasn't there. So he didn't go ahead. I don't know, it was half built or what. But that was a shame. I think if I was in charge and I was building something, I'd go ahead and build it
You would,
because it benefits the majority of people. These ones that object to things like that, they're a very much of a minority, and they shouldn't have any influence, good, bad, or different, in my book.
there you go.
That it's going to suit visitors from other places to be able to go up. I don't know what way would have to walk, or what way they would go up, and that hopefully they couldn't be walking at a certain age. They might be able to get up some other way and visit the Interpret Centre and learn all about the history and all the rest of it of Wicklow. Don't forget the O'Byrne clan was up in the mountains there when they were taking off the invader. So there's a lot of history attached to it that sometimes we don't hear about.
That's it. So Beach Cliff Walk recommended. Thank you very much, John. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.